Hello and welcome to another episode of The View from 22. And since the Ashes are ongoing and are, in my opinion, and the opinion of many people I know, the most interesting thing that's happening this summer, we thought we'd do another Ashes special with the great Henry Blofeld, who's back again by popular demand and has kindly agreed to do an appearance after each test. We hope we'll hold you to that, Henry. And we have some good news to report, which, as everyone knows, England won the last test match at Headingley by 3 wickets. It was another thrilling test match, and it sets the series up very nicely, with the Australians leading 2-1. Henry, first of all, I was with some Australians on Sunday, and they were quite charitably saying they wanted it to happen because they want the series to be thrilling, and nobody really wanted 3-0 and for it all to be done and dusted, as it were.
It's always worrying when the Australians are charitable, isn't it? You think you might have done something wrong.
Yeah.
No, I mean, I think that's absolutely right. But actually, when you think of it, we've had 3 matches that have gone down to the wire. And I happen to believe England are probably the better side. And that if they'd got this right, if they hadn't been so dedicated to Bazball in rather a blind way, I think they would. They should be 2-1 up themselves, if not 3-0 up. But as it is, they've come to terms with what the Australians have done, which is teach us the fact that with Bazball on its own, there's no solution to anything. It's got to be tempered with discretion. We've learned that, and we won a wonderful victory, I thought, at Headingley as a result of that. And it's worth pointing out straight away that the innings that saw us to victory, Harry Brook, who made 75, played a proper cricket innings. And at this level, proper cricket innings are the things that I think are probably most important in the long run.
Yes. And you would put it down mostly to the change in attitude and a bit more discipline, not the new selections who actually performed very well.
Oh, yes, certainly they did. I'm not putting it down all to one thing, but the fact is that Bazball, they started off, Crawley hit that first ball for 4 at Edgbaston, didn't he? The first ball of the Ashes series. And everyone thought this was going to be a biff bang wallop, but absolutely splendid. England scored 393 for 7 or whatever it was on the first day. And they thought, yippee, we're away. Well, it's not quite worked out like that, because Australia plays deep fields from the start to restrict the flow of fours. And I thought dealt with it very, very well and intelligently. And they won both those first 2 test matches in tight finishes. Yeah. But England have modified their approach. And I think this means that they are playing better, more sensible, and ultimately winning cricket.
Let's discuss Zak Crawley quickly, because I think I'm in the now minority pro Zak Crawley camp, just because I love watching him bat. I think he's such a beautiful batsman to watch.
Oh, I'm not against Crawley. I think I'm not against the fact he hit that first ball before. I thought it was a thrilling moment. I'll never forget it. But and I'd always have him on my side. Good heavens, yes. I think he's worth the risk. Yes. And he is someone who has been infected, if you like it, by Bazball. Although, or maybe you can say that the fact of Bazball has helped him develop his natural game. And I'm all for having someone going in first and doing that. I mean, after all, throughout the history of cricket, I can think of several people who, Cammy Smith of the West India, Les Flavel of South Australia, who went in and gave it a biff bang at the start. And I don't think there's any harm in that at all. No. Don't think I'm against Crawley. I'm not.
Okay, good. Well, I'm glad we agree on that. But I suppose one thing that people point to is his average is not great. But then he does what Bazball's meant to do, which is put pressure on the opposition by being aggressive.
Well, he does, but then averages aren't everything, are they? Yeah. I mean, it in terms of bowling, it's a question of who you get out. Do you get top batsmen out, or do you, in fact, pick up tail enders all the time? It's a very important distinction, that. And I mean, and going in first against Australia, and indeed against anyone, Crawley will make his share, or rather more than his share, of low scores, perhaps. But when he comes off, it does do quite a lot to put the opposition really onto the back foot and steer England towards victory.
Yes. And the squad for the next Test match at Old Trafford has been announced. Folkes is not in. I remember you saying on the last episode that you think Folkes probably should come in for Bairstow to free him up, to keep him in the side, but to free him up to bat. Doesn't look like that's happening. Oh, it's not happening.
No, I personally don't agree with that, because I think Bairstow at the moment, I don't know that he broke that leg last year playing golf. I'm not sure he's fully fit. I don't know. Of course I don't. But the fact is that he's dropping endless catches behind the stumps. He's very untidy behind the stumps. And since that 78 in the first innings at Edgbaston, he's not been getting runs. I personally would have played Folkes in this Test match because it's crucial that we win it. And therefore, every snick that's got to be picked up, every chance behind the stumps, every chance everywhere. And I think this is the one failing of this England side so far, and it's got nothing to do with Bazball at all. They are butterfingers. Their catching has been simply appalling. I mean, Joe Root, he'd been bad. Normally, he's so reliable. I don't know what's happened to him. And if you're in a tight situation like this, catches are terribly important, and we've got to hang on to every chance we get. Folkes, I think, would have given us a better chance of doing that.
Yes. Do you think it might be that, was it not that Stokes that actually broke his leg and therefore is indebted to keep picking him because he was responsible for the injury?
Is it? I hope it is that, isn't it? Because I think that's getting everything into muddle and is the wrong reason for doing anything. I hope the feeling is that they're trusting Bairstow because of his great performance last year when he made all those runs, and that they feel that he must come good. I don't know what view they take on his wicket-keeping. That's what worries me. I'm sure, you see, again, if you look at Bairstow's Test record, when he doesn't keep wicket, when he doesn't have the gloves, he averages very much more than when he's keeping wicket. And I can understand this. If you're going to stand behind the stumps for 6, 7, 8 hours and then go in and bat, an awful lot is being put on your shoulders. And you know, I see this, and I think, again, it's another reason why I would have picked Folkes.
Geoffrey Boycott, who is someone who you don't always see eye to eye with, he has suggested dropping Bairstow, and also getting Moeen Ali out the picture. Would you agree with that, the second one?
A matter of interest, I haven't seen what Geoffrey Boycott has said. Who would he pick as a spinner, or would he not pick as a spinner?
I'm not sure he even mentioned that, actually.
Because I thought Moeen Ali actually played a part. He played a part positively in getting out Labuschagne and Smith on that evening. And he then played a sort of negative positive part, if you see what I mean, by opting and going up to Stoke and saying, I want to bat 3 in the second innings. He'd only got 5, fair enough. But he enabled Harry Brook to go back to number 5, which is his favourite position. And we saw how well that worked. He made 75 and he won the match, really. So I think we've got to I think Moeen Ali, in terms of figures, again, may not be brilliant and may not be a natural choice, but I very much admire the spirit of the man, and I think in a tight contest, which this is going to be, I think I'd like to have him in my side.
And presumably you would also like to have Mark Wood in your side because he was man of the match.
Oh, yes,
terrific.
My goodness me. Mark Wood and Wokes too. Weren't they terrific? I mean, Wood, we see now if you bowl at 95 miles an hour, my goodness, it looks a different kettle of fish, doesn't it? Yes. I mean, the Aussies didn't like that. And I thought he was absolutely magnificent. And his batting, too. The way he came in, and you may say he took a chance and got away with it. He hit that 6 in the closing stages, which really sealed England's victory, I thought was magnificent. And when you hear him talking, he's a chap with confidence, and when the Australians see him, they know they've got a fight on their hands. I'm all for Wood, and I'm all for Wokes too. I thought he batted magnificently in that, in both innings, in fact, but particularly in the second innings, and he took 6 wickets. And when you have to compare him to Jimmy Anderson, really, I suppose he replaced in a sense. Well, I don't know, did Wood replace him? But anyway, Wokes did a wonderful job, and I think probably Although it's sad in a nostalgic way, I don't think I would play. I mean, I know I wouldn't play Jimmy Anderson at Old Trafford because I'm afraid the time has come. He's past 40. It's a very tough series, and this is going to be a very tough match. I know he's a wonderful cricketer. He's probably England's best ever bowler, but I think the time has come, and you've got now to go to the Woodwokes and that lot.
You said last time, I think, that you thought the weather might stop England coming back and winning this series 3-2.
Well, I only said on the law of averages, it's very remarkable if you get through an England summer without the rain having a decisive effect on one of the 5 test matches, either in terms of washing it out altogether or making it impossible to get a result, or indeed giving one side a strong advantage. But actually, with covered pitches, of course, that is less likely to happen these days.
Yes. And lastly, Henry, if you don't mind, we had a little bit of pushback, I believe, to your diary and your appearance here last week, where you talked about this report into English cricket, and you suggested that it had an agenda, and that the agenda, or it may have had an agenda, and may have been motivated by a sort of hostility towards English cricket and perhaps sort of English.
No, what I was saying really was that this was, the whole Azim Rafiq thing, which started off, was terribly important, and I think when a group of people was appointed to look into English cricket, it was terribly important that they were seen to be utterly fair. And as it happens, I've got nothing against Cindy Betts at all, who headed the commission, or whatever you call it. And nothing, of course I haven't, I've never met her, but she is an activist of Black Lives Matter. And I think are 1 or 2 or 3 of her colleagues in this. And it makes you think that they may have come from with an agenda, with an axe to grind. That may be unfair, but nonetheless, I think it's worth pointing out. And I do think that in this situation, one needed to pick a group that were able to look at it in an absolutely even-handed way. Because I still don't believe, I've talked to a whole lot of people involved in cricket, and they don't recognise or they don't think this report represents the game they played. And I'm okay. There may be a lot of things wrong with English cricket, but I don't think that it's quite as bad as it was made out to be in this report. If I'm wrong, I will hold my hand up and say I'm sorry. But I've got nothing personal against any of the people involved. It just is. I think we've got to be sort of fair about this and really get to the bottom of it before we start introducing draconian measures. And there's no point in introducing draconian measures if what they are meant to cure is not quite as bad as we think. I don't know. There's an awful lot to be done in this, I think.
It's interesting, is it not, that I think you've been pretty fair-minded there, and you're not actually making aggressive claims, but that just merely by floating the idea that the report may not have been entirely fair, you're getting quite a lot of flack.
Oh, but that's inevitable, isn't it? I mean, of course, the messenger gets it. Indeed. But I think at my vast age, I can probably withstand that. I'm not being in any way ist in any sort of way, at all. But I just would say, I think I want it to be seen that this is a fair criticism of all that's going on. And it seems to me extraordinary, if it's as bad as was suggested, that no one has shone a light on it before now.
Well, Henry, we will end it there, but thank you very, very much indeed for coming on Spectator TV again. And I hope we'll get you again after Old Trafford, and that the series will be nicely squared at 2-2.
Well, wouldn't it be lovely? Wouldn't it be lovely? And I look forward to that.
Thank you, Henry.